Here's a fun fact from the movie Black Hawk Down. When the real fight in the movie starts, the helicopters are going in on the target, the Humvees are starting to show up, the special operators are taking down the building, and then there's a scene in the movie that I really wish was different. There's a scene where those helicopters and Humvees come under fire for the first time, and the character that's playing Dominick Pilla starts to yell to the character that's playing Colonel Danny McKnight, saying, "Colonel, they're shooting at us. They're shooting at us."
No fear! Oh, yeah, right!
Rangers securing perimeter, four corner.
Colonel! They're shooting at us! Colonel, they're shooting at us! We'll shoot back!
This is 6-4, shots on the ground, going into holding pattern. Roger.
I want you to know that I've never seen Rangers in a firefight that don't know exactly how to respond, don't respond exactly the way that they're supposed to respond, and every time I've ever seen a Ranger in a firefight, they respond immediately. This movie gives the impression that the Rangers that were on the ground didn't know exactly what to do. That's one of my challenges with this movie, but I do want to give the producers and the director credit here. You see, what they were trying to portray in the movie, and I don't know that they did this very well, is the incredibly restrictive, highly frustrating rules of engagement that the whole United States forces in Somalia were under. Now, when the United States military went over to Somalia in late '92, they went over as part of a United Nations mission with this very, very restrictive rules of engagement, rules on what you can do in a firefight. When the United States was considering sending Task Force Ranger over there, there was a very, very high level, I'm talking Secretary of Defense, President of the United States, discussion about the rules that Task Force Ranger would go over there under. And those rules were intentionally changed to support the task force that I was part of in Black Hawk Down. I got to give mad credit to the lawyer for our forces over there, a guy by the name of Gary Walsh. Gary, if you're watching this, I've got the greatest respect for you because Gary was part of that mission to help negotiate the rules of engagement. What that movie is trying to show you when they say, "Colonel, they're shooting at us," and he looks over his shoulder and says, "Well, shoot back," what the movie was trying to show you is how insane the rules of engagement were for most of the Americans over in Somalia. That wasn't true of us. And there wasn't a time where Rangers were getting shot at that they didn't know, or that whole force that I was over there with. There wasn't a time where somebody was getting shot at and they didn't know when and who they could shoot back at. That was never a problem. But there were some very, very long, very detailed discussions before we showed up to Somalia about the rules that we were supposed to follow when we were over there. I've got the absolute greatest respect for everybody that I served with in Somalia. I never saw one person do something on the battlefield that they shouldn't do. But I also think no American warrior should ever go to war with the kind of restrictive rules that most of the rest of the Americans had over in Somalia. And I think this scene from the movie Black Hawk Down is the producer and the director's way of showing you just how insane those rules were for most of the rest of the force over there. This is some background information that you really need to know, or else that scene can make it look like the guys on the ground didn't know what they were doing in the firefight. But I want you to know from this little fun fact in the movie Black Hawk Down is that all of the rest of the forces that were over there, they conducted themselves well, but they should have never had to handle the rules of engagement that they were sent under. Those are Jeff's opinions, but it's just a little fun fact for you from the movie Black Hawk Down.